Your boy Tony got engaged. Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Yeah, I did promise I was going to do a video every day this week, and I've had a shit day. I did manage to leave the house eventually. I went up my, sorry if I'm sounding depressed, can't help it. Yeah, I went up my mother's for food, took the dog, and my mum's dog's not well. He's going to the vets tomorrow. He's got to take some med. He's going to be okay. Like, it's not the final journey to the vets or anything. So I thought, I didn't know what. I got home. I've had lovely food. Can probably smell the garlic. I had garlic bread. I never eat garlic bread. I thought, fuck it, I don't care. It smelled so nice. So I've had some. So sorry if my breath smells. I thought we would do a video on. I still can't believe I've been engaged. Look at the state of me. If I can get a girlfriend and get engaged, anyone can. All right. But it's quite a funny story how I got engaged. I didn't spoiler. I didn't actually propose, and she didn't propose to me. But somehow, typical mess of a life that I've got, I got engaged, and she was a really good-looking girl at the time. So I thought I'd tell the story. I was having a lift home with one of the boys from work last Thursday, I think it was. So shout out James, thanks for the lift. And I don't know how we got onto it. I don't like talking about it normally, but it is quite the funny story. So I do enjoy my story times, and it does take my mind, puts my mind somewhere else. Also, shout out, check this out. That arrived today. So I think money doesn't buy happiness, but it does buy you a sealed official PlayStation 3 controller. I'm excited to test that out. Anyway, where were we? So, it's a funny story. It's got sad parts to it. Spoiler as well. I haven't seen it for over 10 years, thank fuck. But, yeah, she turned out to be a right fucking loon. Anyway, she probably ain't got nothing nice to say about me either. So, yeah, it's a story where I met her in college, but our paths crossed twice before, very randomly. So I suppose I'll start at the beginning then, okay? Sorry, I'm holding the microphone for some reason. I need something in my hand. So, this is, I'm trying to remember what year it was, and the reason I remember the night is because we had quite a close-knit group of boys from my school. I had my swimming friends, and I had my school friends, okay? Very different groups of people, okay? And I was out with my school friends, so we were only young, 18 or 19, I want to say, and we were out having a good time on a Friday night. Every Friday, I loved our local pub. Shout out Red Lion. It's not there anymore. Nothing to do with me. Maybe it's closed down because we don't go there anymore. Yeah, so there was 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 of us, right? And sometimes on a Friday, what we used to do, because we were young, only one of us, of my friends group, had a flat, okay? And the plan was we were going to all go back to his flat, because the pub was it wasn't like go to a pub, then a nightclub. It was the pub. Sometimes they'd have a lock-in, last orders at 11 o'clock, but this night they weren't, so we wanted to carry on with the night, so we all decided we were going to go back to one of my friends' houses, and we were going to watch Days of Thunder. I don't think I've actually watched that film since, because it takes me back to this dark time, right? So we went back there, and I'll never forget, next door to where my friend's flat there was a block of flats called Hillside, and there was a few nice people. I had a couple of my other friends lived there. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like anyone was too good to live there, but there was probably more shady people, let's say. There was drugs and God knows what else going on in there, okay? So it was a bit rough, but if you knew, because we grew up there, it was okay for us, you know. But any newcomers, I can imagine, yeah, oh, this is rough, do you know what I mean? So, I can't really remember. Something happened. I'd had a bit to drink. I wasn't drunk, but because this was over 20 years ago, okay? But there was commotion coming out of the block of flats next door, so we went to see what was going on or something, and there was some fight or something was going on, and one of my friends knew one of the girls there, and so he went off with her rather than coming back with us to go and watch this movie. He went off with her. Okay, whatever. And the reason I remember that night is because he passed away that night, okay? And he was one of my school friends. But the other thing, right, that I do remember about that night, there was this girl there with a massive dog, like a Rottweiler or something, a really mean-looking dog. But what stood out about this girl, she was stunning. I'm talking 10 out of 10. I was like, didn't have any makeup on. I just looked at her and she looked at me and I looked away and I was like, wow. But I had a girlfriend at the time. Not that I was anywhere confident. This girl was way out of my league and stuff like that, okay? So, fast forward, yes, it was sad. One of my best friends, I was bearer in the funeral. It was a terrible time. I'll do another video maybe talking about that, okay? But that's the reason I remember that night, all right? So then I'm talking 3, maybe 4 years later. I was on a night out. I was in my drink, like a typical early 20, like 21, 22-year-old. There was, in one of the nightclubs we used to go to, didn't have pole dancers. It wasn't that kind of club. But they had like the DJ, and then they'd have like these small stages, and they'd have like these dancing girls, and they'd have all the fucking luminous glow sticks. And I saw that girl again, and she was there in a bikini, and I like 20 blokes all like, wow, look at her. And she did have the wow factor, okay? And she was a really good dancer as well, I gotta be honest. Again, I had my drink, went on. Oh, I think I remember her from whenever. So then, fast forward again to, I want to say 2005 or 2006. My job was as a full-time, I was a head coach of a swimming club, and I decided I had my days were free, so I'd work every morning, an hour and a half, and sometimes I'd be working in the days, but then I was busy every single night and pretty much every single weekend. It was kind of a full-time paying job. It wasn't technically 40 hours, but my hours were all over the place, okay? But I had the day free. So I thought, right, what can I do in my days? And then it was coming into the end of the summer. So I decided to look if there's anything in college, you know, because I got kicked out of college. I left school when I was 15. And I got asked to leave college when I was 16 or 17. So I thought, yeah, I'll top up the old education. I'll do something sport related so I can use it in my job. And there was one of these courses was for older people, like 24, I think it was 24, 23 or 24. So it wasn't like for 16, 17-year-olds. It was for older people. But the average age in there was like early to mid 20s, okay? But what caught my eye is they said they do sports psychology, and I thought, it wasn't as big back then as it is now. Sports psychology is big. A lot of the top athletes say the psychology and stuff is, because it is. I've always believed it's vital to succeed, but back in my day when I was competing, it wasn't a big deal, like, do you know what I mean? Not in my sport, swimming. So, sorry if it's a boring story, okay? But it's just wild, you know? Just sums up typical day in my life, you know, a couple of years of my life. So, I had a motorbike back then, and so I turn up day one, Monday morning, 9 o'clock. I'll leave nice and early, 8:30 or whatever. It was in Swansea College, not the college 5 minutes up the road for me, so I had to ride there. So I thought, I'll go a little bit early now just to find somewhere to park my bike nice and safe. Trained it up, happy days. And I was asking round, I wanted to leave my helmet somewhere. I don't want to carry my helmet. Some people think it looks cool. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I got a motorbike. But it's a hassle. I just wanted my bag. I didn't want to stand out. I just wanted to fit in kind of thing. So then I couldn't, nobody could tell me where. They were like sending me, oh, if you ask over there, they might be able to help you. They might fit in a locker. No, I just wanted like a reception. I could put it behind the reception and pick it up at the end of the day or when it was time to go. So basically I was late for my first fucking day, right? And I must have had a mild mental health issues then, like a little bit of anxiety, or maybe it was just nerves. I thought, oh, fuck, I'm going to be the last one in this classroom now. So I was like looking at my little map thing they gave me to find my class, and it was 2 doors. So I looked in one, and I thought, oh, I don't know if it's that one. I looked in the other one, in the glass door. Like I had like the pane of glass on the door, and there was this girl. First thing that caught my eye was this girl. I didn't realise was the same girl again, in a lovely suntan, but she had a white tennis dress on. I was like, holy shit, I hope this is my class. So I knocked the door like that, and I said, oh, I'm really sorry, I'm looking for Mr. whatever. Oh, that's me, come in. So we went in now, and I thought, yes, jackpot. But so I had to sit wherever, and we were doing introductions, like a lot of new jobs, or when you go on courses, they do like stand up and tell us a bit about yourself. So we had to stand up, and a few of them they'd already done. Because I was only about 5-10 minutes late, but I was the latest one there, let's say. So then I got up and basically had to say who your favourite sports star is and why or whatever, and what you want to get out of the course or something like that. So I stood up. I said Valentino Rossi. So I got the Valentino Rossi tattoos. So I said Valentino Rossi. He just seems to bring, he's almost bigger than the sport, blah, 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 blah. What I want to get out of this course is the sports psychology side of it. Really interests me because my job is a head coach of a swimming club. And the guy was like, oh, right, great. Maybe we can use your expertise for this and that. I thought, yeah, great. Very positive start. So this girl gets up. I won't say her name. So the girl gets up, and all the boys are like, because she was by miles the most attractive girl, probably in Swansea, right, in my opinion. So then she gets up and she said, oh, I've got a daughter, 18-month-old daughter, and my favourite star, or my sporting icon is my partner. He used to play for Man City. He used to do this and that. And I thought, I used to play for Wales, football. I was like, got no chance here, Tone. So anyway, great. Right. So we really got on as well. So a couple of weeks go by now, and we're only in college, I think, 3 or 4 days a week. So we had like a long weekend, and we, like, after 2 or 3 weeks, we decided to have a night out on the Saturday night, right? And Saturday wasn't the best night for me because I was coaching early the next morning, so I couldn't really drink, okay? But I thought that this girl was going to be going, so I agreed to go. I'm sure I thought she said, yes, she's going. So I know she got a partner, all right? But I was single, and I just thought, yeah, it'd be nice to see you. Because, okay, I'll be in the friend zone. I don't mind. Again, she's way out of my league anyway. But then about a week before, this was really odd, right? There was one of the boys and one of the girls got engaged. So they'd known each other less than a month, and they were engaged, right? So this is an important part of the story now, okay? So they were like all over each other, lovey-dovey in college, and we were all thinking, that was quick. Didn't mean they only met and blah, 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 and now they're engaged and stuff like that. But then I thought, okay, whatever. So we went on this night out. So I didn't have this girl's phone number, but I just assumed she was going to be there. So I turn up. It was about three of the boys, 3 of the girls were there, kind of thing, right? It was an all right night, actually. So we had a couple of rounds of bowling. Then we went in the bar, still part of the bowling thing. And this has never happened to me before, saying this is weird, right? It's like in a movie or something. So it was before smartphones and stuff like that. And I had a bog standard Nokia or Siemens, whatever phone I had, right? Nothing special. I've never had the latest phones or anything like that. The girl that just got engaged said, oh, can I, like, fiance was sitting next to her. No, he was sitting next to me. Then she was sitting there, like the other, across the table from me. So she said, oh, Anthony, can I have a look at your phone? And I was like, okay. It's like why do you want to look at my phone for? Like, but that it was weird. That in the early 2000s, that was something that people did. Oh, I'm thinking again, that phone, can I have a look at it or whatever? And sometimes I'd have that fucking Snake game. Shout out Snake, who remembers that? I could never get into that fucking game, but some of my mates were really good. So I thought maybe she wanted to play that or whatever. Yeah, you can have a look at my phone. So she's playing along. I didn't really know, but I thought she's got it a while, and she slides it back at the table, but she's like sliding it back, looking at me. And I take it and put it in my pocket. And we carry on, and she's just staring at me. And I'm like, is she okay? Or maybe I got something on my face. So I go to the toilet, check, I got nothing on my face, come back. Again, I'm not used to these kind of situations, okay? Then she says, oh, can I have another look at your phone? I was like, what's the matter? So I give her my phone again. Yeah, no, all right. And we're all talking now, all the conversations flowing. And, you know, they were all talking about college. And I was like, no, we don't want to talk about college. We're outside. We talk about college when we're in college. Do you know what I mean? It's like when I'm in work. On our lunch break, you don't talk about work, you talk about other shit, don't you? That's the way I've always been anyway. So she's got my phone again, and she slides it back to me, and she's looking at me like that. And this is the girl that's just got engaged something like 2 weeks ago. She got a fucking Argos 999 engagement ring on. So I'm like, okay, and she's looking at me. So like, I look at my phone, and it was like the balls in it, or whatever, the guts on this girl to do what she did, right? She was like, it said something along the lines of, I really fancy you. Do you want to fuck? Oh, it was like, and she's looking at me like, I'm reading this, I must be born bright red. Oh, and to make it even worse, I was supposed to be the best man. I was asked to be the best man in this fucking wedding. How was I supposed to be best man? I thought, I don't know him and I don't know her, and they don't know each other. And then, plot twist, she's got on the phone, she wants to have sex with me. I'm like, what? I didn't know what to do, right? So I was like, I put the phone in my pocket. She knew I'd read it, because I was like, looking at her. Again, this conversation's going, and maybe one of the boys said, you're right, Anthony. I'm like, I was known as Anthony back then. I'm like, yeah, you look like you got a bit of a temperature. So I'm like, whoo, flipping heck, what's going on, yeah? So we carry on the night, and it's like in a movie. Her leg is brushing up against mine. I honestly thought it was his leg. I'd much rather if it was the bloke's leg than hers, but I was moving like this, trying to make it clear I was not interested. I mean, no, thank you. I'm not even getting near. Again, imagine they didn't get married, spoiler. But imagine they did, and I was the best man. Do you know what I mean? What kind of best man would let something like that go ahead? So go back to the night. Oh yeah, the night carries on. We go in the taxi. Then it's awkward as hell. We went. She lived. Say it's hard to explain. Like, she lived the furthest in one direction. I lived the furthest in the other direction. And her in front, it was so blatant, because he'd had a bit to drink or whatever, and people are drunk. Her leg was rubbing up against mine, and I was nearly had my legs out the fucking taxi window, right? I was like, I'm not interested, kind of thing, right? And it would have looked, I probably would have had the blame as well, did you mean? But I kept that fucking thing on my phone, right? So she was like, oh no, if you drop, you are first. Basically, she was trying, and she did almost convince everybody to get me and her in the taxi on her own. That's what she was trying to do, right? But it just didn't make sense. So what I ended up having to do was the last but one stop before mine or hers, I just got out of the car And I was like, oh yeah, I'll come back to yours, bye, and just closed the door. And the taxi pulled off with the happy couple, the newly fiancés in the car, you know. So on the Monday, I went back in, and it was my future fiance was sitting there. So I went over and I said, she goes, oh, I was bowling, I couldn't come because of this. I said, oh, I thought you were going to be, yeah, you left me with them, blinking heck, the lovebirds and all this. And we all thought it was a bit of a joke because they were engaged so soon. It isn't normal, is it? Meeting, okay, it might have lasted, but then I told her everything. I showed her that thing on my phone because I kept it. And she was like, what? She said, you could have done this, you could have slept with her, and then you could have done this. And I was like, oh, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not brave enough to do all that stuff anyway. That kind of thing doesn't ever happen to me. And then we came up with the idea, and it was her idea, right, that we were going to pretend that we were dating. But then I said, oh, haven't you got a boyfriend though? You're living with a bloke. She said, oh, that's complicated. I haven't actually. I just said that because I wanted to come across as, I mean, I come from a happy family kind of thing, but it's a bit of a mess, this and that. Okay, so I thought, right then. So she's single then. That's what she was telling me. Then I thought, they're not going to believe us because someone like that looks like her would never, ever be in a relationship with someone who looks like me. That's what I thought, okay? So then, and she was a really good actress, right? So people started coming, sitting down, and she just said, oh, while you're all here, me and Anthony, we're a couple. We didn't want to tell you, blah, blah, blah. And you could see that other girl was really awkward. So basically, it worked. But I quite enjoyed it, actually. We were pretending to be together. And like, we got up, and she just grabbed my hand. And then she wanted to carry my motorbike helmet. So we looked like a couple, but I thought this looks silly because it's like a mismatch almost. Like she was all the younger, like 16, 17-year-olds. You could see looking behind, so obvious because she was so good looking and stuff. And so for a couple of weeks, we kept up this thing. So whenever she was there, but then obviously in every classroom, in every class then, we'd sit next to each other. But then we started, we really got on basically, and we started mitching, turning up for lessons. We'd walk down the beach, or we'd go to the bar, or whatever. And then one thing, like, we started dating basically, right? But then it was, I won't go into like the first ever date. She said, oh, this is the first time ever that I'm leaving my daughter with my auntie because she was so protective of her daughter. So we're going to watch a film or something, as you do, isn't it? So she gets off the bus and I'm waited for her by the bus stop in town, and she's got the baby with her. And I was like, oh, right, okay, what's going on? She goes, oh, I'm really sorry. We've got to take my daughter to, I don't want to go into it, but just check if she had bruising across her private parts, because something had come out. I'm not going to say it, but if something had come out that the person that she was living with was a registered something offender, right? So that guy that, yes, used to play for Man City, but it's the old Man City. It's not the Man City of today, millionaire Man City. This is old school Man City, right? He'd been a really good player for the Swans. He was a very good player, don't get me wrong. So, that was our first date. So we came home, and my father was still a policeman at the time. So we told my father all about it. He knew of her ex. And my mum and dad came in the room after about 20 minutes and said, look, we're not happy for you. It's the first time my parents ever met this girl as well. We're not happy for you to go home. Why don't you stay here? I know it's not ideal because you've got a baby, but we'd be more comfortable you staying here than going home to that. So basically we went from date number 1 to living together in my parents' house. It was only short term, till she had help with the council or something to get her house. These things take time, don't they? So like 5 or 6 weeks she lived. It was great, I gotta be honest. It was awkward then, though, when the baby started talking a bit more and said, "Daddy," to me. And I was like, oh, I don't know. We didn't have a conversation that I was going to be daddy. But I was treating her as changing the nappy, trying my best, you know what I mean, on all that shit, you know. But I didn't intentionally say, I'm the daddy now, kind of thing. So, it's like a whirlwind thing, right? So imagine date number 1, living together with a baby. 5 weeks, she had her own house, lovely house, right? Fair play. 2-bedroom house, right, literally a path, then a lovely river. Oh, it was stunning, right? Really nice location. And then I said, oh, maybe he'll do us some good. We argued now and again, but because we were on top of each other all the time, literally. And I still can't believe that this was happening, because again, trust me, I was punching well above my weight. And then she started crying. When I said, basically, you know, we'll have a bit of space now or whatever, and she started crying. She was like, I thought you were going to move in with me. And I was like, oh, I don't know about this. This is fast. But fair enough, it's fast moving in because of her circumstances. We were trying to help as a family, which we did. So cut long story short, I moved in with her, right? I upset her. Okay, I'll move in with you. That should have been a little bit of a warning, but she was going through a lot. Do you know what I mean? So then we moved in just not long before Christmas. Then something bad happened. My motorbike got stolen from outside where I worked. I had it back. I found out who had it, and basically, I'm going into too much, but the guy gave it back. And then it got stolen again from right outside my house, and I was tamping. And it was apparently used as a getaway vehicle in London. So how that happened, I don't know. But so my motorbike got stolen. So once the insurance paid out, I said jokingly, next motorbike's coming in the living room or in the hallway. But then, as I said, I thought, why don't you just get a push bike and cycle to work? It was about 5 miles, so it wasn't that far. And it was an alright cycle. And I thought, yeah. And then I had to go to one swimming pool, and every Thursday, I think, I had to go to one a bit further away. But I could have a lift with one of the parents once a week. Do you know what I mean? No problem. So I had all this money, and the plan was to buy a push bike. And every Wednesday, what we used to do in the day, so we dropped out to college. Turns out that sports psychology, it wasn't. I asked the teacher, I said, or the lecturer, I said, where's the sports psychology? I said, oh, it's not actually sports psychology. It was something else. We just couldn't fit that in the little box. So I was like, oh, that's false advertising. So that's why I just lost interest. We both dropped out, right? So she wasn't doing anything. I was a swimming coach, okay? So sorry if this is a boring story. It's doing me good though. I say positive things. This is a shit show of a time in my life. I laugh about it now, do you know what I mean? So yeah, every Wednesday we used to go to into Swansea, and she would go on the sunbeds just once a week. It was her little treat to herself. She said it made her feel better and stuff like that. Once a week. Okay, so while she was on the sunbeds, I'd have the baby, or sometimes we drop the baby off at my mum and dad's, or basically I just mill around Swansea having a look, right? And then when I decided to buy a push bike, next door to that shop was a jeweller's, right? So basically I bought the bike, but they had it shipped in. It was like a specialist kind of bike. And actually, yes, it was actually make the specialist, come to think about it. Yeah, lovely carbon fibres, a lovely bike that was. And it's the most I'd ever spent on a bike at that time. So they were building it. So they said, oh, just mill around. We're just building it now. It's just coming out of the box. Won't be much longer. So while my girlfriend was having the sunbed thing, I was next door to the bike shop, that's right, was a jeweller's. And I just noticed there was this platinum engagement ring for really cheap. I just thought, that's a good price. So then she came out, went to pick up my bike then, And I just commented, I said, oh, look at the, can you come have a look at this? It was in the window, not like I went in the jewellers or nothing. And I said, that's a really good price for that, isn't it? And she just looked at me and she went, oh, yeah. I said, I'm just, you know, calm down, like. I just commented, that's for platinum, and if they're real diamonds, that's a good price. You had 3 stones or rocks in there, you know. So I had my bike, I cycled that home. She went home on the bus, met her where we were living, and happy days. But then the next day, she wouldn't shut up about that fucking engagement ring. She was like, oh, did you really like that? I thought it was, in my head, I'd always imagined that was the perfect engagement ring. It's like it came to me in a dream. And then the next day, that engagement ring, then the next day. And then it's like, you should have bought it. And she knew I had money, because obviously a push bike is a lot cheaper than my motorbike. So I had plenty of money in the bank for once, back then. And then, all week. So basically, she said we should buy it, or the plan. Oh, I might have said, yeah. She said, oh, you should have bought it then. And it was like, I thought maybe one day I'd get engaged to her, but I'd only knew her 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. 9 months ago, I didn't know who she was really. I know I'd seen her years ago or whatever, but yeah, I wasn't ready to get engaged, do you know what I mean? It's a big deal, that is. And there's children involved and stuff like that. But I loved the girl. There was a little girl it was. She was great, do you know what I mean? And she did end up calling me daddy for the time that we were together. So basically, we said, look, if the ring's still there, I'll buy it, right? If it's not, it wasn't, you know, there's no rush. We're not like we're rushing to get married or anything like that, right? So she did a usual thing. She went on the sunbed and I went to the jewellers, and yes, it was still there. So what I thought I would do, I was thinking again long term. I went in, when I bought it, I said, right, if I wanted to surprise her in a couple of years time, right? I thought I'd hide that engagement ring, and then if we ever got engaged, which maybe I would have, but I wanted to get to know her. You don't get to know anyone properly in 9 months, do you? So I said, basically, I'm buying it, paid. I said, right, if I come back, is it okay if you pretend you've never seen me before? And if we ask about that ring, can you just say, oh, sorry, we sold it? And they were all like giggling. Yeah, no problem. They probably get asked shit like that all the time, I thought. So I go meet her after the sunbed session. And we were going to have food. It was it's closed down now. I think it was called the Orange House or the Orange Tree or something. It was like a bar in the day, like a Spoons kind of thing. Nothing's posh, but it was kind of a club in the night or whatever. So I met her. She said, oh, was the ring there? And I said, no, it wasn't, sorry. Let's go and ask them. I thought, fuck, good job I said no, innit? So we went in, and they said, oh, she was quite rude. She said, oh, that platinum ring that was there, how long ago did you sell it? And they all looked at me and they went, an hour ago. And then she went to me, oh, it's your fault. And that's the first time she was pretty nasty to me. And I thought, whoa, calm your tits, like, do you know what I mean? So I, sorry, like, and we went. And she was in a bit of a mood. So we had, went for food, and I was working that night, so I wouldn't have drunk much. I'm talking 2 strongbows. So I would have had a strongbow with my food, and then one maybe after to wash it down, you know. That was my limit. So she wouldn't shut up again. It was like, oh, all you've talked about is this ring. It wasn't meant to be. But then maybe because I'd had a drink, I thought it was a good idea. I just said, I pulled it out of my pocket. I said, right, I was going to surprise you, but I got the ring, okay? So we can keep it for later, right? And I went, I'm busting for a piss. I'll be back now. So I come back. She's on my mobile phone talking to my dad, telling my dad we just got engaged. And I was like, my dad's on the phone. Oh, I'm so happy for you. She's the best thing to ever happen to you. Oh, we're so da-da-da-da. My mum's all excited as well because they took on the baby as well, didn't you know what I mean? They really, they loved her as well, didn't you know what I mean? It was quite sad because it didn't work out because of the baby. So I thought, right, okay. And I was like, what, we're engaged now kind of thing. But I do want to say, hang on, I didn't actually propose to you. That's why it normally happens, isn't it? But again, just the way my life's always fucking up, I was engaged to this girl. But again, there was a lot worse girls out there, I thought, at the time. Going on looks, fuck yeah, I was doing all right, you know what I mean? So I think ever since that day, it went downhill, right? So what do? You get engaged, you have a party. So you had a party, and we're looking at venues, and I just wasn't into it. So you had a party in the function room. I was only allowed to invite certain friends. She could invite whoever, and it was because she knew some of my friends. So this is where her past started to come up. Some of my drug dealer friends, just friends from school that I hadn't seen, but they were still good friends in school. They were in the drug dealing at the time scene, so they weren't invited. Oh no, but because she had a history with drugs, I didn't know this at the time, did I? So then it was nice to see the mates that came. It's really funny. One of my he's not my mate anymore, but he came there, right, in his army uniform. He's not in the army. He's never done a day's work in his life. He fucking had this like bum bag thing, like fanny pack thing with a PSP in it. It was a proper PSP. He's like, oh yeah, he brought the PSP with all his games to my engagement party. It was so funny. I thought, yes, I'm glad he invited you. And he was like, you're not playing that now, kind of thing. I was like, well, I haven't seen him for months. Then I had a bit to drink. Oh yeah, another warning sign was the DJ said, what's your song? And I was like, we didn't have one, because we hadn't been together long enough. Then all the family, you know, you got to mingle and all this, all the family. So when you're going to get married then? And it scared me. I was like, shit, we're one step away from getting married. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I didn't know what to say. I mean, she's laughing. No, we won't be long now. Won't be long. We'll start saving. I'm thinking, what will it be fuck? Then another warning sign was I wanted to sneak off with my mates and go to town because it was nice. It was like a bit of a reunion. I hadn't seen my mates for like a year or so. All the boys are there. Let's go. And you can't. And I'm really glad I listened. But then that was how I got engaged, basically. So has anyone else got engaged without actually proposing? Or is it just me that makes these fucking mistakes? Fast forward only a couple of months and it all fell apart. She started hanging around with people that she used to hang around with, and they were in the drugs scene, and it was okay to take drugs on a Wednesday or a Saturday. And then I wasn't willing for it. I was like, nope, you don't do drugs. You've got a beautiful daughter upstairs. I'm not her father. So if you go out and get in trouble with drugs, they'll come here. I can't stop the police from taking your child. And basically it was the drugs or me, and she chose the drugs. So that's how that ended. It wasn't as clean cut as that, but you know how relationships work, you know. So that was the story of how Tony got engaged without proposing. I got the ring back. Oh, happy ending then. I got the ring back. I was a faff to get that ring back. She didn't want to give it back, so I got it back. And one thing she said about the PlayStation Portable, I hadn't long come out to, and I always wanted the white one. And she said, no, we're not getting it, because to be fair to her, she was a really good player too. She could watch me play my Xbox as the main console back then. She'd happily sit there all night and watch me play Xbox, do you know what I mean? But when it came to the PSP, she was like, no, I don't want you to get one of them because I can't see. And it was like, and she had a point, because it was like something we would do together. Whenever I handed her the controller, she 9.9 times out of 10, she said, no, I'm happy just watching. And I generally think she meant it. But with the PSP, she was like, nope, you're not having one of them. So I sold that was a faff sale in the ring. Some people wanted to buy the diamonds, not the platinum. Then someone wanted to buy the it was like, I can't be bothered. Just give me a price. Give me a price. And it turned out about exactly how much PlayStation Portable was. So that's the story of how I got my PlayStation Portable. So it was a happy ending after all. I forgot about that little bit at the end. Yeah, hope you liked that video. I'm sorry I'm not my cheery self, but yes, it is a funny fucking story. That kind of stuff doesn't happen to everyone, does it? It's just my fucking messed up life, do you know what I mean? And that's why I stay away from women. Yeah, I can't go through all that shit again. I know not all women are like that, do they? But all the good ones are taken, unfortunately. Pray for Tony. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought of that story. Do you want me to keep them going? Hopefully the audio is okay. I just felt like I needed to hold something in my hand, you know. Yeah, thanks for watching. Love you. Bye. What do you mean you got engaged without proposing to a retard / psychopath?